youngsters tell me the truth now, gangster. A real gangster wouldn't kill Ananda. You see, for 666 of them sponsor, just remember to cut them a fiance. Everybody can't just answer. You kill one, so your friend try match you.
It's the last week of Reggae Month, but I'm enjoying it right to the end. Yes, gospel reggae is another legacy of our rich Jamaican musical culture. It's another uplifting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Audrey, and yes, you'll get to enjoy the rest of that performance later in the show. Also in the program today, enabling food security for all Jamaicans through the development of national agro parks, plus justice being restored in communities through mediation. And Jamaica Day is Friday. Hear how its theme is affecting Jamaicans. The news, then all this right after.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
Good day, I'm Stacey Ann Smith, and this is your GIS News for Tuesday, February 25. 3 Commissioners General have been appointed to lead a commission of inquiry into the May 2010 events in West Kingston. Retired Chief Justice and former Attorney General of Barbados, Queen's Counsel Sir David Simmons, will chair the commission. The other 2 commissioners are retired Judge of the Court of Appeal of Jamaica, Justice Hazel Harris, and Queen's Counsel Velma Hilton, a former puisne judge in St. Kitts and Nevis. The appointment of the commissioners follows an interim report from the public defender, who recommended a commission of inquiry into the May 2010 events in West Kingston. Government later published a draft of the terms of reference and asked for feedback from the public. The commission of inquiry, which is expected to be completed within 3 months, will determine the circumstances that led to a state of emergency in May 2010. It will also find out what led to the execution of a provisional warrant for the extradition of Christopher Dodds Coke, assess the conduct of the security forces in Tivoli Gardens, determine who damaged private property, determine whether Coke was in contact with any government officials, and the circumstances under which Coke managed to elude arrest. Government is planning to revise the Forest Act. The changes will be made to better support the provisions of the new forestry policy, which is being drafted.
The revision will make this important piece of legislation more broad-based and current, and it will open the way for the Forestry Department to be even more impactful in carrying out its mandate.
Minister Robert Pickersgill added that the forestry policy will include measures to improve the management and use of Jamaica's forest resources while providing incentives to preserve them.
What we're aiming for, ladies and gentlemen, is increased monitoring of our forest resources to ensure that they are protected and that all Jamaicans comply with the laws that govern their use and protection.
The minister was speaking Friday at the launch of local forest management committees in the St. Thomas communities of Spring, Dunrobin and Hillside. Students and staff at the Early Stimulation Plus Development Center in Rockfort, East Kingston now have a new facility with specialized equipment to enhance learning. The $30 million temporary facility, which was opened recently, consists of a therapy room, canteen, administrative offices, and 6 classrooms. This temporary structure is the first phase of upgrading works being undertaken by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in partnership with the Digicel Foundation.
I'm absolutely certain that the partnership that we have forged with the foundation in this specific regard will go a long way in assisting the government of Jamaica in the achievement of its mandate for the protection of the rights and freedoms of persons with disabilities.
While students and staff use the temporary facility, the previous building is being demolished to make way for an upgraded structure. When completed, it will include classrooms, therapy and staff rooms, and a specialized play area. Persons served by the voluntary organization for the upliftment of children Vouch now have a new computer center to cater to their needs. Through the efforts of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, the center was repainted and outfitted with chairs and computers costing $700,000. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites thanked the JTA for their contribution, adding that the aim was to use the center as a model for early childhood education.
we can extend it into a much broader facility, then what it means is that from the very earliest stages, we will be orienting these students to where their aptitude lies.
In the meantime, the Education Minister reiterated that by September, Vouch will become a diagnostic center for children with special needs. Vouch, which is a non-government agency, caters to expectant mothers, as well as children up to 6 years old, through a prenatal clinic, nursery, preschool, and a basic school. Another call has been made for the society to come together to discourage the bad habits of some of the nation's youth. Chairman of the Ministry of Education's new Behavior Management Committee, Dr. Fred Hickling, says a discussion is needed with all stakeholders, including teachers, to provide solutions to the problems.
We have to recognize what is. Having done that, we sit down and we talk about it together and we come to a consensus. And once you move to a consensus, then you create an action plan for working the thing out.
Dr. Hickling was speaking on JIS TV's Issues and Answers program in the wake of reports that a pornographic video involving school children had surfaced. The Education Ministry has since launched an investigation into that matter. And finally, 20 of the island's poets got a chance to showcase their talent to international literary scouts at the 2014 staging of Arts in the Park. The event, which is an initiative of the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment, was held recently at Devon House. Portfolio Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil said Arts in the Park 2014 was successful as it provided a platform for poets to display their talent.
We're focusing on the spoken word, which is not, we don't have as much of this in Jamaica, and I think it's a good thing because the more we put it out, persons get to see it, the more they get to appreciate it. Representatives
from 4 booking agencies in the United States and Europe were impressed with the performances and said contracts may be signed with some of the poets. The first staging of Arts in the Park held last year showcased singers and musicians. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
Food. Just can't live without it. But across the globe, many are experiencing food shortages. Well, our government is taking the issue seriously as we continue on a path for food security for all Jamaicans.
1,000 acres under production, 36.3 million Jamaican dollars in earnings, and over 1,000 persons employed. In 2013, government went full speed ahead to get the 8,000 acres of prime farmlands on its 9 agri-parks into production. Major progress was made on 6. Planting Garden River and Yallas in St. Thomas, Amity Hall and Hill Run in St. Catherine, Ebony Park in Clarendon, and New Forest Duff House on the border of Manchester and St. Elizabeth. Though only a combined 1,000 acres have been planted at these sites to date, stakeholders are already seeing the potential for huge returns. Take Amity Hall, for example. More than $11 million has been earned, mostly from the harvesting of assorted vegetables.
So far, we have been planting over 30 acres of pumpkin on the park. The farmers have sweet potatoes over 18.5 acres in production. Our hot peppers, or Scotch bonnet, also over 16.5 acres is now in production. And it's a significant change to what we had started on for the past 7 months. If you look around also, the farmers have been planting even crops such as kellion, tomatoes, okras on a large scale. And I can tell you, out there, the market is there for these crops.
Amity Hall is also boasting $3.2 million in income from over 18,000 bushels of sorghum and $1.7 million from 7,000 bales of hay.
As we speak, another 4 acres are being planted with a timetable to plant the entire 800 acres that we have leased to Caribbean Borders. by about April or so.
This is good news for persons in the horse industry and dairy farmers who need good supplies of hay, particularly during the dry season.
Thanks to the hay production, we should be able to have an increase in milk production this year.
Amity Hall Agro Park farmers are also testing Irish potato production on 5 acres and carrying out soil testing for ginger and turmeric. And there are plans to produce 131 acres of onion. Onion is also a major crop for the farmers working the Planting Garden River Agro Park in St. Thomas. An outbreak of soft rot disease and faulty irrigation system caused yields to be less than the £600,000 expected. But as onion accounts for a significant portion of the country's high food import bill, the Agriculture Ministry is helping the farmers implement best practices to produce higher yields of the crop.
And we injected $7.5 million to see what we could do to help.
In the meantime, production of pumpkin, hot pepper, scallion and callaloo has been expanded, with projected revenue returns of $54.6 million. 10 acres of ginger should also be harvested in February. The yield is projected at 170 pounds, valuing $8.5 million. In total, 60 acres of various crops are under production at Planting Garden River, with another 230 to come on stream. Infrastructure work is being carried out on some sections. Meanwhile, at the other St. Thomas Agro Park,
We started there very modestly with 22 acres of onion.
an additional 8,000 acres will be farmed. To support that, government has installed a $395 million irrigation system, which was commissioned in January.
We have over 300 acres under production. 300 acres out of a potential 1,800 acres.
Farmers here have been able to reap 439,000 pounds of assorted crops, earning over $24 million. Another 1,500 acres are to be irrigated, for which funding has been identified and will go to tender soon. Production is on in earnest at the New Forest Dove House Agro Park on the border of Manchester and St. Elizabeth, where farmers are reaping mostly onions and scallion. The production of sorghum is also being carried out at Hill Run in high volume, with infrastructure being put in place for an increase in fish rearing for the local and export markets.
The agro park in Hill Run is intended to expand the acreage under aquaculture, and we have seen quite a significant expansion since late last year.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is aiming to have all 9 agro parks in full operation by 2015. So work is on in earnest to start production on Spring Plain, Clarendon, Mailersfield in Westmoreland and Ettingdon in Trelawney. The bidding process has begun for the installation of needed infrastructure such as irrigation, proper drainage and farm roads to support Spring Plain.
We are also completing feasibility at Mailersfield and Ettingdon in Trelawney. Those two we expect to come on board in the financial year starting April 1, and we are budgeting for it.
A feasibility study is being carried out for the construction of a multi-species abattoir, which will be funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. $55 million has been secured to install infrastructure on the remaining parks. This will continue in 2014 in order to have the parks up and running by 2015. This level of production means more than just planting and earnings for the Ministry of Agriculture. The broader focus has 3 components, the first of which is import substitution. At these agro-parks, farmers are being guided to competitively produce select import crops in high volumes. From this, we should see a significant reduction in the country's high food import bill. The second objective is just as critical, and that is to generate foreign exchange by exporting crops grown on the agro-parks. And of equal importance is goal number 3. The agro-parks are to help boost rural development, ensuring sustainable economic activity in rural spaces. In 2013, 223 farmers who were put to work on just 1,000 of the 8,000 acres of land employed over 800 workers.
Now, can you imagine the impact of that fortnightly or weekly income in those rural spaces, ensuring that kids can go to school consistently ensuring that the shopkeeper can earn something from, because people do go to shops and buy, ensuring that the taximan can survive.
By continuing on this productive trend, Jamaica is sure to achieve food security, economic growth, and sustainable job creation.
Crocodiles contribute significantly to maintaining pollution-free waters and clean habitats for themselves and other wildlife.
They serve a purpose in our marine ecosystems. Them being scavengers, they help with the health of our marine systems, which impacts the fish that we like to eat in Jamaica.
Every wildlife, plant and animal, has a linkage to the ecosystem that makes it healthy.
Moreover, the crocodile is an endangered species and is protected under Jamaica's Wildlife Protection Act. The penalty for capturing crocodiles, harming them, or having any part in one's possession, living or dead, is $100,000 and up to 2 years in prison. Let's care and protect our endangered species. Stop eating crocodiles.
Talk it out, don't fight it out. I remember that little saying. It's quite effective too. Well, that's what the Ministry of Justice has been doing through its Restorative Justice program, creating peace amongst offenders and victims to shape better communities. It's Restorative Justice Month too, so enjoy this upcoming feature.
All of us, either as individuals or groups, have a role to play in ensuring peace and justice prevail in the society. In fact, answers to many of the injustices within society to a great extent lies within our actions towards one another. That involves more people embracing fairness and non-adversarial relationships in realization of the possibilities for lasting peace. And citing the potential gains, the government has embraced the concept of restorative justice, or RJ, as a plausible means to deal with the many injustices that plague the society.
In Jamaica, we have a propensity for violence and so on. RJ is a therapeutic procedure which allows issues that arise between people to be resolved through a managed process, which leads to the righting of the wrong and the repairing of the relationship.
To begin with, the Ministry of Justice, through its Restorative Justice Unit, trained volunteers to become restorative justice facilitators as it moved to put RJ into practice. A pilot implementation was started in 4 communities but has since expanded to several others across the island. That process is administrative, but legislative changes would formalize RJ into the justice system.
Restorative justice was essentially formally introduced to Jamaica, coming out of the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry of 2001-2002. With support from UNDP, that's the United Nations Development Program, we then embarked on the development of the policy.
The restorative justice process is voluntary and starts with an offender accepting responsibility for his or her action, then taking steps to repair the harm, rebuild relationships, or compensate the victim. Attention is drawn to a case by a referral process.
There are 5 referral points for the Restorative Justice Program. The first referral point is directly from the communities. So pastors, justice of the peace, community leaders, or just community persons who are aware that there are disputes or issues in the community can contact the Restorative Justice Center and refer the case to us. And these cases could be persons arguing over a tree overhanging their property, simple theft, larceny. Those cases can come to the Restorative Justice Program. The second referral point is where it's still a minor offense, but the police have been called. The police can make a recommendation to the clerk of court to refer the case directly to us. The third referral point would come from the resident magistrates at pre-trial. So rather than sending the case to trial, they feel, for whatever reason, that the offender has taken responsibility.
The fourth point of referral comes at the post-trial pre-sentencing stage,
while the 5th referral point is at post-conviction or just before an offender is released from prison back into the community. Conflicts do arise from time to time as people suffer hurt and injustice, but resolving them, overcoming and moving on to a more progressive life demands that each person does what's morally right.
In RJ, it's very much about restoring a relationship and making reparations for a harm that has taken place. That's the primary objective, and it's somewhat different because in mediation, that may or may not be the outcome, but in RJ, that is always the outcome. So that's a principal difference. There are some other differences as well. For example, in RJ, the person who speaks first is the person who has done wrong because they have to accept responsibility at the outset of the process, otherwise it can't work. In mediation, there's no such requirement.
Restorative justice is a way to live life based on the values of trust, honesty, respect, empathy, and forgiveness. The way to progress involves abandoning the eye for an eye way of settling scores.
It has a significant potential in communities to improve the quality of life within communities, because what often happens is that a relatively minor dispute in Jamaica can escalate through a series of reprisals into war in a community and protracted violence, which can be very damaging and damage people's lives and cause loss of property, loss of life, and so on. So by finding a way to restore relationships that have broken down and encouraging that approach to dealing with disputes, I think peace and harmony will be furthered in communities, and that will benefit everybody.
Using the restorative justice approach fosters healing and dialogue, victim satisfaction, and offender accountability. It's an approach to justice that focuses on the needs of victims and offenders as well as the community involved. It's based on a theory of justice that considers crime and wrongdoing to be an offense against an individual or community rather than the state. It seeks to create a mutually respectful atmosphere for arriving at a resolution between aggrieved parties, victims, offender, and community.
RJ is in the preliminary stages of development in Jamaica. We have a program which is funded by our multilateral development partners, the IDB, through the Ministry of National Security and the CSJP program. And we have established a number of pilot communities where we're rolling out RJ.
Persons affected by an injustice have an opportunity to discuss that and decide what should be done to repair the harm.
You sit in a circle, and that's a circle of respect.
Really sorry. I give you a steady now. But guess what, man? Forgive me a written apology.
Embracing the positives and avoiding the negatives helps clear the path to constructive dialogue and gives the offender a chance to understand the harm that was committed. It brings all parties face to face. This approach of inclusion as opposed to exclusion strives to transform the administration of justice and public policy norms. Jamaicans are all called upon to embrace the restorative justice approach and develop respectful relationships.
The beauty of RJ is that it disposes of matters which would otherwise have to come into the criminal justice system, but can be dealt with satisfactorily outside of the system through RJ, and therefore relieve some of the burdens on our courts.
Restorative justice, a pathway for transformation to a more secure, just, cohesive, and peaceful Jamaican society.
What are you doing to help the fight against crime?
Sitting on the corner, minding your own business, definitely not going to work.
It is time for us to unite.
Unite. Unite for change.
Citizens coming together to make their respective communities safer. The police, schools, public health, business, churches, NGOs, parents, and neighborhood watch volunteers.
As we, the police, do our job,
we as citizens need to do our part as well.
Report crimes or even suspicious activities.
Let's all work together
as one united front against crime.
And make Jamaica the place of choice to
live, work, raise families, and do business.
Unite for Change, an initiative of the Ministry of National Security.
didn't forget you. Catch the rest of Prodigal Son's performance now.
Another thing we cut me to the core. Man a rape virgins we get AIDS cure, whether 1 year old, 2, 3 or 4. A life from the bitter hell, don't touch no more. And then me here said them have a new strategy. The pervert them a run fake taxi. And I said the school girl them foxy. Father God I beg you one here. Everybody can't just answer. You kill one so you emancipation, do this. Do this, do this, do this. Cause everybody can't just answer. You kill one so your friend try macho. Raping babies are. We not stop, gossa. We not stop, gossa.
Celebrating Jamaica, sporting greatness in my community. That's the theme for Jamaica Day, being celebrated in schools all across the island this Friday. Reflecting on the theme, we went outer road to find out what lessons Jamaicans are learning from our continued excellence in sport.
It helped me because I see them as some real assets to our country.
It builds self-esteem. It's an investment. It's an upliftment for our country and our young persons. And a whole, it's just big and broad, and it's a wow.
Encourage us, no matter, and along with, and it give little more to be like bold or chill and free.
That most of us on the street, we can do better, we can, uplift ourselves and push ourselves towards our goal. At anything we want, we can achieve our goal in life.
I learn a lot from it. Because I see them running, that push me, give me motivation to see how them performing.
We and the younger generation, that they can feel the obligation by sports and motivate them to channel whatever ability they have to be a better Jamaican.
You work hard, you succeed. And even though sometimes a lot before you get to that main success, you'll have a few failures. Just never stop believing in yourself, never stop dreaming.
One good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. Who said that? If you don't know, now's the time to find out. Had a great time sharing with you, but this is where the curtains close for today. Email your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm and visit our website, Twitter and Facebook pages for all the latest happenings. On behalf of the entire production team at the JIS, this is Audrey Williams wishing you one love.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.